Hello, everybody. My name is Gurpreet Kaur, and my presentation will be about international laws on climate change. Well, to begin, what is climate change? This refers to the long-term change in weather patterns and is definitely human-produced. Humans have caused global warming through industrialization, deforestation, factory farming, livestock production, oil and gas, etc. Carbon dioxide levels have been rising because of all of the fossil fuels that are being burned and released into the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases are gases in the atmosphere that permit sunlight to pass along while preventing the heat it produces from leaving the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases trap and radiate infrared radiation emitted by the Earth's surface and bring them back. Greenhouse gases are the highest they have been in over 2 million years. Climate change and global warming can affect health, the ability to grow food, housing, among other things. Health issues include respiratory and cardiovascular disease, premature deaths, waterborne illnesses, and diseases. Here are some quick facts. The global temperature is to rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 2 decades. The past 7 years have been the warmest, and over 1 million species are at risk of extinction. Most world leaders are not taking this seriously. Sea levels are rising faster than ever, and Arctic sea ice is disappearing. And over 2/3 of extreme weather events have been human influenced. This means like tornadoes, hurricane, any natural disaster. Over 2/3. The United Nations Environment Program. This was created in 1973, and in 1997, they created the Coordinating Committee on the Ozone Layer because they feared that the ozone layer would be destroyed. At the same time, there was economic recession in the United States. This led to more fear that there would be financial crises among all of the countries around the globe. The measures that were being taken to affect this crisis were also affecting the reduction of the greenhouse gases. The Montreal Protocol. This protocol was finalized in 1987, and it is a global agreement to protect the stratospheric ozone layer. This is the first treaty to be ever successful, and the Montreal Protocol is also the first treaty to achieve ratification by all the countries in the world. Developing countries were required to freeze their production and started to phase out CFCs in 1993. Because of the Montreal Protocol, emissions of ODS are falling. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This was formed in 1988, and their goal was to collect evidence of climate change to show to the people. It is a body of the United Nations and provides scientific information on political, natural, and economic impacts and risks of climate change. In the 2022 report, they found that it is now a water crisis. This includes dams that are producing methane, the failure of infrastructure, rivers running dry, extreme flooding, etc. As you can see on the right, there are an infographic about how the dams are failing, and there's pictures of rivers running dry. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This was created in the 1990s and was a treaty to stabilize the emissions of greenhouse gases at a level that would prevent dangerous human-induced interference with the climate system. This prevents they were trying to prevent the impacts of global warming on the human population and found that climate change is affecting developing countries the most. On the bottom here, you have all of the health, agriculture, forest impacts, including like other things of what climate change can affect. The Kyoto Protocol. It was adopted on December 11th, 1997, and ratified and enforced on February 16, 2005. It is an international agreement linked to the UNFCCC. It set targets for 37 countries, along with Europe, to reduce greenhouse gases. Under this protocol, countries must monitor and record their emissions and the trade that is carried out by them. They cover the emissions of six greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide and methane being two of them. In 2001, President George W. Bush announced that the United States would not join because they exempted developing countries from mandatory emission cuts. The Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. It was a document made in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. There were 27 principles to help guide countries in sustainable development. Stated in this document said, people are entitled to living a healthy and productive life with nature. And they said that environmental issues must be handled with everyone that is concerned. And they also stated that long-term economic progress is linked to the protection of the environment. The Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty that was adopted by 196 countries on December 12, 2015. It was effective on November 4th, 2016. The limit of global warming, their goal was to limit global warming to below 2 degrees Celsius, and that would only be possible with the reduction of greenhouse gases as soon as possible. The Paris Agreement was very important because it was the first binding agreement to bring all nations together to fight against climate change. Under this agreement, targets would be reviewed and revised every 5 years starting in the year of 2023. And countries are aiming to be carbon neutral by 2050 and no later than 2100. The United States and the Paris Agreement. In 2017, President Trump announced that the United States would be leaving the Paris Agreement. He stated that it would only lead to a very small reduction in global temperature. However, the analysis of the Climate Interactive believes that those claims were all false. The withdrawal took place near the end of his presidency. And in November 2020, Joe Biden got elected as the United States president. He moved to rejoin the agreement on his first day in office and introduced a new pledge to cut emissions to about 50 to 52% by 2030. On the right, you see there is a tweet that says the United States has officially left the Paris Agreement after 3 years after President Trump announced that he would leave. And then Joe Biden quote retweeted it and said, "Today, the Trump administration officially left the Paris Agreement, and in exactly 77 days, a Biden administration will rejoin it." So he gave comfort to the people during this time. And that is all. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope everybody has a great day.